Hey, what's up, guys? Toogie here, back again with another episode of my Buffalo Bills franchise mode series right here on Madden 19. And in today's episode, we finish up the remainder of Season 2. Of course, we're here in Week 17. The only thing to do, really, is to sim this game against Miami. It is a completely irrelevant game for us. This is going to be the offseason, the draft. We're going to prep this team for Season 3. We did have a couple of decisions to make, though, however, mainly with LeSean McCoy, Corey Coleman, and whether or not we end up scouting a quarterback, which there is a decent chance of that. Now, people were split with LeSean McCoy, but there was enough support with him for the idea of trying to bring him back for one season, which, of course, we can afford to do. That's not the most difficult thing for us to pull off. We are just going to have to hand him a little bit more money. I'm willing to do that. How much he regresses throughout the course of the offseason, that's a big question mark. But for the moment, it makes sense to try and bring him back. And he is looking for more than that. He was looking for a $7 million per offer. I actually bumped it up a little bit. That still wasn't enough. We'll still have time to negotiate with him. With Corey Coleman, it was it was also a little bit split. I think what I'm going to try to do, I can't. I can't. He's just not that good, but he's looking like he's close to going up to a 79. It's a tough one because I'd have to hand him even more money if I wanted to try and sign him to a one-year deal. I think for the moment, we're probably going to bring him back, even though it means we probably bring him back just to trade him. But for now, let's do what we can, and he wants even more money than that. You're insane. You are absolutely insane. So we'll keep an eye on that situation with those two. No chance that there is a chance that negotiations end up going poorly and we don't bring them back to begin with, either of them. We'll see how that goes. For now, I'm not going to jump into this game against Miami. Let's just get it over with. That might cost us an upgrade point or two. You seem to be more likely to get those upgrade points whenever you actually play the game. And indeed, Coleman is going to go up an overall point. We'll actually just go ahead and make him better as a deep threat. He's up to a 79, which for normal development, again, I wish he was 23 rather than 25. He is going to, actually now he's 26, so he is going to cap out pretty soon. More than likely, I think we may let him go. We actually have quite a few upgrade points here that we'll take advantage of. Murphy is a speed rusher, never really going to develop into what we want you to be, so we might as well make you better at what you already specialize at. A couple of improvements there, not too bad, more than a couple really. And Tre'Davious White, who's already a legit 91, playing like a 93, will make him better at zone just to bump up that scheme fit. No guarantees we play the same defense next year, but regardless of what we play, he's going to be an absolute monster. So I don't really think we have to worry about it. As, Jesus, the upgrade points. Jake Elliott, let's make you a little bit more accurate, shall we? Let's go ahead and take care of that. +2, +1 awareness. That's not great. Can I at least get some upgrade to the accuracy, please? Okay, well, you got +4 awareness in total. I guess that works. And then we have Key with 2 upgrade points as well. We'll just probably continue to make him better as a deep threat. Again, 5'8". If the catching was better, it would be nice. I mean, really, for him, it's a matter of speed. Not that the short route can't be improved off of making him better as a deep threat. Not that catching can't be improved. Case in point, it's a +1. But obviously, there are certain stats or certain attributes that are more likely to go up. For now, though, I will take those improvements. A +1 medium route, not bad. Von Key up to a 76. And with that, we're pretty much good to go. In terms of re-signing staff, we are going to need a scout. We're definitely going to look to target a quarterback scout. We already have Parker Gibson, and I'll just hand him that offer. He should come back to us. And again, we will end up taking a look at what quarterbacks are available. Maybe look to bring in a backup, of course, now that we are looking to kind of improve there and not have Ryan frickin' Mallett as our go-to guy. Again, playoff-wise, we can take a look, but it is, fairly obvious. Actually, draft stories as well. Draft stories as well as Stover. Stover wins the Heisman. You also have Van Noy there, Gundheim, and Norris. Norris, Gundheim, Stover, and Van Noy. We will try to remember that although I think we may just draft off of need more than anything else. Let's take a look here at the old playoff schedule. Let's see what's going on. So it's going to be Kansas City and Cleveland, Dallas, Atlanta, New England, Miami, Seattle, and Minnesota. So the Dolphins lost to us, but they still basically they ended up with a slightly better matchup against New England. Both teams at 9-7. We fell just short. Just short. We had a chance to make the playoffs in year 2, which I'm very happy about, but it just wasn't meant to be. As far as everything league-wide, let's take a look as well. We'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. As Ezekiel Elliott wins MVP, Coach of the Year went to Pete Carroll. And we're probably only going to take a look at AFC awards. Maybe I'll just breeze to the NFC. Marcus Mariota ends up winning the Offensive Player of the Year. If we don't have anybody in the top 7, I'm not going to care. And as it turns out, we just flat out have the Defensive Player of the Year. Hell of a signing. Say what you want about Ryan Shazier still being in the game, of course, with that first DA update, but I will take it. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Kenny Rutherford ended up being there. We had Peck and Love in the top 7, and because we're already there, Von Key. So 3 rookies up there in the top 10. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Gardner Johnson was 3rd. Outside chance of him finishing 1st had he not missed time due to injury. Best quarterback, Phillip Rivers. Best running back, Le'Veon Bell. LaShawn McCoy finished 4th. Best wide receiver goes to Edelman. Offensive line, I don't expect us to have anybody there, and we did not. Defensive line, though, not a bad season for Trent Murphy, finishing 3rd in voting. Shazier, Defensive Player of the Year, but only the 2nd best linebacker. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Defensive back as well, Tre'Davious White finished 2nd behind Denzel Ward. Kicker of the Year, Jake Elliott. I expect to see that quite a bit. NFC-wise, if it interests you, I'm just going to breeze through it very quickly. And you can go ahead and pause the video and look on your own time, but it's not all that relevant to us. So I'm not going to spend that much time on it. But there you go. Those are the awards for this season. We finished 12th in offensive yards, which isn't too bad. Our defense, though, not tremendous. And we'll leave it at that. Offensively, Allen passed for over 4,100 yards, 19 touchdowns, 15 picks. So, yeah, that was what it was. LaShawn McCoy over 1,100 yards rushing, only 4 touchdowns, though. Bryce Love with 6 touchdowns on the year, 2 for DeMarco, and a rushing touchdown for Josh Allen. Receiving-wise, 2 1,000-yard receivers, Kelvin Benjamin and Zay Jones. Not too shabby at all. 7 touchdowns for Benjamin, 5 for Jones, 3 for Peck. Then you had quite a few with 1. Blocking-wise, 18 sacks allowed for Engelberger. He was the only one in double digits. An absolutely brutal season for him. We had 3 players with over 100 tackles on the season. Sacks-wise, 12 for Murphy. He led the way. Only person in double digits for us. Interceptions-wise, 5 for White, 4 for Shazier, 3 for Hyde, and 1 for Hilton and Nelson from there. And then the AFC Kicker of the Year, Elliott, 32 of 37. So not perfect, but good enough to get the job done, at the very least. As far as stats around the league, I could look at a different time, or if you're intrigued as far as who led what category, let me know. I'll go ahead and take a look. But for now, let's focus on the team. Again, staff-wise, we're good to go, and really, we are just good to move forward. Just signed a bunch of guys from the practice squad, so let's move forward a week. We'll keep an eye on the playoffs. Maybe we'll go to the Super Bowl and see how each team ended up getting there. Gibson is back, so that takes care of our quarterback scouting, of course. Pro Bowls coming up. Not really intrigued to see who made it. It's a Dallas-Cleveland Super Bowl. Right. The memes are alive. A Dallas and Cleveland Super Bowl. Let's take a look, if I can remember to hit playoff schedule instead of news, at how they got there. So we'll go back to the wild card as Cleveland, of course, beat Kansas City. Dallas beat Atlanta. New England beat Miami. And Minnesota beat Seattle. In the divisional round, the Chargers beat the Patriots. The Cowboys beat the Rams. Browns over Texans. And Vikings over Eagles. In the conference championship, Cleveland dominates the Chargers. And Dallas wins pretty handedly as well against Minnesota. So a Dallas-Cleveland Super Bowl. Who will win? Place your bets. Super Bowl 53. But for the moment, we have a bit more scouting to do, and we'll continue to take a look at quarterbacks here. Again, running back wise, if we're keeping McCoy, I'm not going to worry about it too much. If we have some leftover points, I'll scout guys in the first round, but if we're keeping him, which we're going to attempt to, there's no need to take a running back. And again, wide receivers are scouted, tight ends, even though there really isn't anybody good. The offensive line is sorted, the defensive line is sorted, linebackers are sorted, the secondary somewhat sorted. We could take a further look at that, but we have seen some of the top corners so far in this draft. And again, at safety, we don't need anybody. That's not to say we couldn't draft somebody and just change the focus from there. But we are locked in right now to having this quarterback-specific scout. So we might as well make the most of it. And I'm just going to burn through these points here. Let's do it. We'll still have a couple more weeks worth of scouting. Let's see if we can find ourselves, at the very least, a project who could go on to become our starter if things continue to go poorly for Allen, as the Dallas Cowboys have won Super Bowl 53. Steven Nelson is looking for a contract. He was a corner that we moved to safety. And what is he looking for? A 4-year deal at 27, huh? Probably a decent chance of me letting him go, I'd have to say. Justin Coleman, same thing. Someone who we brought on for a little bit of safety depth. That's not a terrible contract that he's looking for, but I can't help but think it might just be for the best to let him go and try to find a replacement later on. But he is extremely versatile. Coleman is as well. I think for the moment I'm going to let both of them go, and we'll try to fill out the roster at a different time. Charles Tapper, same thing. We're going to let him go for the moment. Demond Duncan, not overly fast either, 23. We're going to let him go. The majority of these players are probably going to go, with the exception of Adonis Glover. But you know what? He didn't improve this season, and I gave him a chance too. So I think we'll probably just ditch him for the moment as well. Let's see. Thomas Maul, McDowell, 22, normal development. He can go. Stanford can go, nothing too special there. Velasco's nothing too special. Roy Rhodes, Rashawn Seward is also on his way out. The majority of these guys are. Norman Lee, no reason to keep him. Smith, Shianko, everybody's going. Everybody must go. Although, I do not see one LaShawn McCoy, which is concerning in that he might have retired, and he did. Well, that's a game changer, and that's something you can't exactly plan for, as I am 99% sure LaShawn McCoy has retired. And he has. So that's a little bit of a curveball. We do have Bryce Love, but in terms of a secondary option, it's not looking that good. And we don't exactly have running back scouted, so we might have to rely a little bit more, just a tad bit more, on trying to go after a free agent. Joe Flacco retired, Drew Brees retired. It's actually kind of ridiculous, some of the names that have retired here at the end of our second season. Sean Payton's gone to Baltimore. What the hell is going on around here? But LaShawn McCoy retires. And I can't help but think here, like I said, I'm just going to let go of everybody, and we're going to have a boatload of money heading in to free agency. That's exactly what we're going to do. Every single one of those players, we're going to let them walk. Risky, but we'll see who's available, and we'll see what we can inevitably do in terms of depth. We have almost $70 million in terms of cap room right now. I'm excited to see what we can do here, and what big names we can get involved in and going after. So our quarterback, Phillip Rivers, is there. He's 38. That's not going to happen. Nick Foles is there, and while that's good for the memes as a Patriots fan, we're not going to do that either. We could bring in a veteran like Sam Bradford, but regardless, if we're looking at taking a quarterback, that might not be the worst idea in the world. I mean, pretty much that's our option. We bring in a Sam Bradford, and if Allen doesn't work out, we turn it over to Bradford and then just draft a quarterback next year. Or we just draft a quarterback in this draft. So I think that's probably what we'll do. I'll keep an eye on the Bradford situation, but there's no way I can really see me getting involved with Foles or Rivers. Running back-wise, now Derrick Henry's there. He's what we hope Bryce Love will turn into, essentially. Love is 7 points weaker, 3 years younger. Obviously, Bernard we wouldn't go for, even though he's a scheme fit. We could change up the running game. Kenyon Drake, no. I mean, Eckler here? Eckler? I've never known how to pronounce his name. He does have quick development at 25, but he is 25. I'd say the main move here would be going for Henry. If we just wanted to try and cut the corner of developing Bryce Love, and we just use Derrick Henry. The problem here, actually, the cap hit's not that bad, but that's a big money offers. I am hitting all the wrong buttons today. That is a pretty big-time offer for Derrick Henry there. I mean, just if we offer him the fair deal, 91 points, puts us into contention. How much would we have to go up to do this? Now, I'm not saying I'm going to go through with this deal. I just want to take a look at what it would cost us here to have the top offer over the Jets. And I think, to play it safe, $3 million signing bonus, that would bring us up to a 97. So it would take something like that, which isn't the worst deal in the world, really. I'd like to go for Phillip Rivers as well as just that backup to Allen, but that's big money for one season. That's big money for one season. I can't help but think just the better way to go is to draft another quarterback instead of just being like, hey, Sam Bradford, here you go, best of luck. Running back-wise, though, bringing in Derrick Henry could work for us. Fullback-wise, we have DeMarco. I wouldn't be against. Nick's at 28. He's, 4 points better. What about Simonton? Normal development. What about Ross Herman? Also normal development. That's unfortunate. I wouldn't be against, though. I'm not against keeping DeMarco. That's too high of an offer there for Knicks. But bringing in Simonton or a Herman wouldn't be the worst idea. Simonton? How good are you? Not really. We could keep DeMarco. 11th rated fullback in the league. I'm not against bringing in an improvement, though. And for the moment, we could actually lowball him because we'd have the only offer out, 74 points. I'm intrigued if he would accept that. Emmanuel Sanders at 33, not really interested in handing him a big money deal. Keelan Cole, though, or Keelan Cole, excuse me, that could work. That could work because you do have Corey Coleman there as the fourth or tied for the third highest rated guy. Cole could work, though. Benjamin Cole, Zay Jones, and then if we draft a wide receiver, it's not a terrible way to go. It is a somewhat big money move being offered by the Jets, and again, I'd rather offer Cole this deal than Coleman. He is better at this point. If I'm going to pay big money to someone, I'd rather have it be him. Let me take a look at just, again, how much money it would cost for us to outbid the Jets. Yeah, you look at the options there, especially as a deep route runner. I'm good with that. It's just, what do we have to bump this up to outbid New York? 97 there. That would put us as the top offer. I don't think in terms of kind of potential, we're going to have anybody that's really good enough that we could rely on developing. Demarcus Robinson, maybe. Nope. Not good enough as it is. So with that, we're good. At tight end, hello, Eric Ebron. That would be a good way to cut corners. Jack Doyle is 30. You have Tyler Higbee at 27. Peck had a pretty damn good season, though. I wouldn't be against. And again, it's the Jets. They are looking to splash the cash, much like we are. And go figure that we're intrigued in the same damn players. Eric, buddy, what's a fair offer to you at 27? What are you looking for? 94 points. That puts us as the top offer. That's not terrible. Left tackle, we're not going to have anybody. Unfortunately, we still have Stemke there. Left guard, Peterson. Can't really imagine that's going to work out. At center, Ryan Kelly. Don't really see that as worth it. At right guard, 35 years old, but he's an 86, Marshall Yanda. That might not be the worst move in the world, and of course the Jets are interested, but to bring him in for one season just to kind of shore things up, we have the money to do so. I wouldn't necessarily be against it. And again, you get to look at the cap hit right now. That's adjusted to the offers that we've already sent out. I wouldn't be against sending him a shitload of money. I mean, sure, it's risky at his age, but he's still going to be one of our better offensive linemen. Go figure, though, that we are in pretty much the same damn spot as the Jets. Again, not saying I'm going to go through with that offer. I'm just trying to get a look at what our situation is. Ioannis, I believe it is. Ioannidis? Regardless, can't say your name, but you would be a massive help because I am quite scared in the development, or for the development of one Harrison Phillips. He's 26, he's an 83. Ogba's there at an 82. Henry's there. This is not the worst year in the world to target a defensive end. Collins isn't going to improve to an extreme extent. Henry being an 80, I think we would have other targets here, mainly at left end. I mean, we have Joe Jackson. We have Fowler Jr. and Lawson. And, of course, I want to try to develop Lawson, but he is 26 at this point. Harrison Phillips, I'm not liking his chances of developing, but as a depth option, he wouldn't be terrible. It might not be the worst idea in the world to potentially sign one of these two and to move them over to tackle, and then have Phillips as the depth option, still have Fowler and Jackson with Shaq Lawson as the third option at defensive end. We'd be looking pretty good, and that would be able to change up our strategy as well in terms of what we're going to do with the draft. Ioannidis, I'm intrigued. I am intrigued, and even if we don't move you to defensive tackle, we could move somebody else if we were to sign you. It's a 91-point offer. He has a 98-point offer from the Browns, fresh off their loss in the Super Bowl. That's a 95-point. Like I said, no guarantees that I'm going to go through with this. I just want to get a look at what we'd have to send out to try and pull off these moves. And even then, we're still going to have to offer him a little bit more money. Let's go up to 6.5 and 2.4 for a signing bonus over a $35 million contract. Again, defensive tackle and right end, there was really nobody. Outside linebacker, Shaq Thompson is there. But as much as I'd love to bring him in, 125-point offer from Miami. We're not getting him. At middle linebacker, Blake Martinez is an interesting one. It's a 100-point offer from the Rams. I might be able to compete with that. I gotta be honest. I don't know if it's the most necessary move. But technically, a Martinez and Shazier linebacker duo could be extremely overpowered. That could be ridiculous. What would it cost? That's a 102-point offer right there. It's honestly not that bad. Sean Lee at 34, also available. But again, in terms of those two outside linebacker spots with Edmonds and Gardner-Johnson, we're pretty much good to go. Corners. Webster dipped a little bit. Logan Ryan's there. Jalen Mills is there. Artie Burns also available. And those would be the top two targets. Let me take a look at Jalen Mills. Normal development, still extremely well-rounded. And Artie Burns, normal development, still extremely well-rounded. I wouldn't mind bringing in both of them and maybe just getting rid of Webster, and go figure. The Jets, again, in on a player that we're interested in. Logan Ryan at an 83. I mean, he's not going to get better, but he's still not completely terrible. But maybe bringing in Mills and Burns as players who could actually get a little bit better might not be the worst idea in the world. What would this offer be? What would a fair offer be for Jalen Mills? That's a 91-point offer. I didn't think we were going to get this involved, but obviously we have the money to spend. Yet again, it's another free agent period where we have the money to spend. Why the hell don't we? But I do want whatever moves we potentially make to actually make sense, of course. Let's go to the $2.5 million signing bonus. That's a 98-point offer. And for Artie Burns as well, if we really wanted to solidify this secondary, this could be the way to do it. What would that be? It'd be a 98-point offer as well. It's not terrible. And then at safety, again, it's mainly just a matter of depth. We're still good to go. TJ Green at 25. Normal development there. Swearinger. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Still quick development. He's 29, though. Doesn't really change the situation. I think we'll avoid it. We have Elliott at kicker. And for punters, unless we were to bring in Rigoberto Sanchez, I mean, it's really not going to be that big of an improvement. Johnny Townsend, you have good development. You don't. I think we're good when it comes to punters, unless Christian Silvers has good development, or not Justin Vogel. It was the other guy. As I continue to hit wrong buttons. Yeah, I think we're good. So the players I'm mainly interested in, again, quarterback, we will probably draft one now at this point. But in terms of negotiations, in terms of players that we're looking at, we could bring in Derrick Henry and have Bryce Love be the second option. I'm not totally against this. The alternative is trying like hell last second to draft running backs of the same type, an elusive back as opposed to a power back, and letting him be there just in case Bryce Love doesn't exactly work out. I wouldn't mind bringing in Derrick Henry, though, because we would definitely be able to just cut some corners and bring in a fairly ridiculous running back, or we count on Love's development. Marshall Yanda, I mean, he's the only offensive lineman that I'm intrigued in. He's 35. He might regress, but there's no way he's going to regress to a ridiculous extent as to where he still wouldn't be useful for us. So I'm going to go through with that offer. I'm only going to offer a little bit more than the Jets. We'll see what he says. I don't want to offer him too much. Even though it is a one-year deal. You know, I'm sold on getting him. I'm sold on getting him. Let's bump that up to a $9.2 million offer. Only bumped it up by a point. Eric Ebron as well. Very interested in bringing him in. He and Peck could provide a good 1-2 punch. Martinez, got to admit, very interested in bringing him in as well. Aside from Henry, the top four, I'm set on spending that money. And Ioannidis as well. Very intrigued in bringing him in. We need that one extra, or we have that one extra spot with Harrison Phillips not exactly looking like he's going to work out. And then the combination of Jalen Mills and Artie Burns with Tre'Davious White, those three at corner, that is a tremendous setup for us if they accept. Keelan Cole, more than willing to go for that as well. Could also change up the situation at wide receiver. And then Simonton at fullback. I think I'm set on everybody here with the exception of Derrick Henry. But the one thing I'm afraid of here, of course, is that we don't have any running backs scouted. And we're not going to be able to get that point discount to scout running backs. Of course, right now we have the point discount on quarterbacks. And we're going to be looking to take a quarterback in this draft. I think it's a little bit risky. I'm going to withdraw the offer from Henry. Everybody else we're going in for, though, and we'll still have $25 million in cap room, which is fairly ridiculous. If everybody accepts, we'll still have $25 million in cap room heading into the draft. And, of course, there will be players that we may look to get rid of, whether that be DeMarco, whether that be Webster. So we'll see what happens here, but I'm set with that. We have some money. We know the foundation of this team is looking a little bit better. Let's see what we can do here as we're going to head towards the draft that I hope to focus on the offensive line and quarterback. Jalen Mills has rejected. Artie Burns accepted, though. So the fact that we, again, have White, Burns, and Webster, that's not terrible. Cole accepted as well. Eric Ebron accepted, which is tremendous. Yanda rejected, actually. Martinez rejected. Ioannidis rejected. So we got a couple of them. I'm all right with that. We got a couple of them. We didn't get everybody that we wanted. Of course, I didn't want to go too crazy with the offers. And then Simonton has an 86-point offer. Just go to Green Bay. Fuck that. Just go to Green Bay. So we got Ebron, Burns, and Cole. League signings. Henry went to the Jets. 95-point offer. Swearinger to the Bucks. Yanda also went to the Jets. Took a lesser offer to go to New York. Martinez went to the Rams. They ended up upping me, and they got a 101-point offer. Same for Tampa. They ended up sending in a late offer now, bidding me. I really hate, though, that I could have brought in Logan Ryan, and he went for cheap to New Orleans. Jalen Mills also went to the Jets, so we were in a competition. My God, the offer there on Shaq Thompson. We were in one hell of a bidding war for numerous players against the Jets, and they won a couple of those skirmishes, as we will call them. And with that, I think for the most part, again, offensive line, there wasn't anybody else. Defensive end, corner, there really wasn't anybody else I was interested in. I think we're probably good to go. Running back-wise, again, not a problem at all. Wide receiver-wise, we got our guy in Cole. Tight end, we got who we wanted. On the O-line, nobody, really. Dotson at 34, I'll pass. Defensive line, we're fine. I think we're good. Outside of potentially bringing in like a Sean Lee and moving him to middle linebacker, which, now that I think about it, might not be the worst idea, because he might sign for cheap. And again, at corner, we're pretty much good to go as well. It's not like any of these guys are that much better than Webster. And Tavon Young, while he is younger, it's not exactly a big deal. I think I might talk to Sean Lee here and potentially move him to middle linebacker if we wanted to run a 3-4. And especially now that we didn't end up getting Ioannidis, it makes more sense to run a 3-4 if we were to bring in a Sean Lee. I'm not against it. And again, we should be able to lowball him as well, because it's the only offer out right now. Like, that's a 90-point offer. Like, I don't even have to do that. I'm going to lowball him. If he rejects, then whatever. I don't care. And if he accepts, then we get him for extremely cheap. So it's a win-win, really. That's a 69-point offer. Good for the memes, but I'm still going to bump it up just a tad bit. 71, get it into the green. If he accepts, cool. If not, no sweat off my back. In terms of scouting, though, this is where it gets to be interesting. Again, now, there is a little bit of pressure to scout some running backs. I think everywhere else, though, again, secondary, thank God, we're good. We don't have to worry about anything there. Just quarterbacks and running backs. So let's take a look here. There's still a couple more quarterbacks projected inside the top 3 rounds. I want to take a look at elusive backs. Something like a Damian Hunt and Kang. I imagine it would just be Drico and Kang. Actually, aren't that many running backs either. Let's take a look at Damian Hunt. He's okay, not really. And Kang's not bad, though, out of Memphis. That could work. Antoine Noble. We'll take a look at Hankton and Herv Everett. We have some options there. And like I said, I'd prefer to get an elusive back just so that, we're running that system anyway with Bryce Love here. He's our go-to guy now. So it seems to make sense to me. I'm liking the way things are taking, I like the shape of things right now. Things are coming together. We might not have gotten all the free agents that we sent out offers to, but I still feel pretty good about it. We did not hear back from Lee. I'll double check to see if we still have the top offer. Let's continue to scout quarterbacks, get as much info as we possibly can. And unfortunately, the quality seems to be dipping, although Darvian Richard out of Maine, go Black Bears, is okay. We might as well just scout the rest of these quarterbacks, let's be honest. We'll burn the points in the next week or so and just get a look at every single quarterback available. And in terms of our offer to Sean Lee, again, we still have $44 million in cap space. We're set up so well. The Panthers sent him an 89-point offer. He's going to Carolina. Make no mistake. So, again, that's fine by me. It was worth sending that lowball offer just in case we were the only one to send him an offer. Overall, same thing as last offseason. We get a couple of players that we were interested in. Not everybody, but that's to be expected. Let's go ahead and finalize those points there. Brian Diaz. Not a bad guy, perhaps, to take a round early. Running back-wise, I like the way that we're set up right now. I'm not against taking a power back, but obviously the extra points for taking an elusive back would be beneficial. You know what? I think corner is our one real weakness right now in the secondary. I want to scout these top safeties. Crichton and Cherry are the real deal. Morgan Gray, unfortunately, not. And then at corner, we have 2 guys here in the 3rd round. And really only Morgan Pete is all that interesting. Do we have anybody else here? There are a couple of guys in the 4th round with a strong combine rating. Unfortunately, I can't take a look at the remainder. Keon Matthews, though, is kind of sort of okay. We're not going to have a full report on him. Let's move forward. The draft is here. Deion Dawkins, welcome back. I feel overall, yet again, we're in a good spot. We didn't get everybody that we would have wanted. But now having Ebron and Peck at tight end is great. Artie Burns at corner, great addition. And again, we get an upgrade. If I'm going to pay someone big money, it wasn't going to be Corey Coleman. I'll go ahead and splash the cash on Keelan Cole instead. Another deep threat. And again, I'll just get you guys a quick look at where some of the top guys ended up signing. Phillip Rivers to the Patriots. That is interesting. Let's go with interesting. So there you see some of the top guys. Let's move on to the draft. We're still going to get that done in this episode. Our first pick is 16th. I don't imagine I'll be trading up, but what I am going to do is pause the episode. I'm going to sort out my draft board because that's way too goddamn time consuming, and we'll go through the draft from there. All right, our draft board is set, and unfortunately, the decision-making process as far as who we target isn't so straightforward. The top 3 quarterbacks you see here are all projected to go early. The unfortunate thing, all 3 of them are 24 years old, which really kind of puts a ceiling on them in terms of their development. So the thought of trading up from the 9th pick, or excuse me, the 16th pick that we have, the thought of trading up to get one of them, not really feeling it. Running back wise, Herb Everett is the top running back in this draft for us. If he's available, we would definitely take him. There's no guaranteeing like trading up or where he would go. I mean, he could go top 10 still technically, so that's a fine line. The one guy I would consider trading up for is Marquez Stover, because he is a goddamn monster. A 4.37 with a 39-inch vert at 6'4", 21 years old. You're looking at the next Randy Moss, who I would be overjoyed to trade up in drafts. And I'm tempted. Aside from that, a couple of tight ends. Watts Paul at left tackle, projected to go early. He's looking like an absolute monster as well at 6'8". There's also 2 right guards as well, Nathan Brady and Cameron Gunheim, that are projected to go in the first round, as is Brenton Weeks at right tackle. Lucas Knott at right end. We have a couple of defensive tackles as well. There are some strong players. In terms of the debate of drafting for need, this corner, by the way, looks great as well. In terms of drafting for need versus drafting the best player available, do we look to trade up? Who's going to go where? I mean, unless we sit here and be like, okay, let's see what Cincinnati needs. What are they looking for? You know, we could sit here and check every team. I really do want that. I really do want that wide receiver. But even a team like Cincinnati, they could be like, well, it's not one of our biggest needs, but we want that wide receiver. The only way we could guarantee to get him is to trade up to number 1, and I don't know if we necessarily have the assets to do so. So we are just going to sit at the 16th pick. It's a fact of life. Every draft, we're going to miss out on some top talent. It's just a matter of who we miss out on here. So the Bengals with the number 1 pick take Watts Paul, the left tackle. He was a 79. The Ravens at 2 take Simel Woods, 79 defensive tackle. Didn't mean to hit view draft board, but we will go through these picks here. With the 3rd pick, the Jets, they had themselves a hell of an offseason, and they take Taven Beard, another defensive tackle. The Broncos take Morris Sims, 82 running back, and the Bears at 5 take Stover. He's an 84. Good God. I don't know if I would have had the assets to trade up with the Bears. I told you he was going to be good. I didn't know he was going to be that good. We might have just made a gigantic mistake. That is arguably the best player I've seen in the draft all year in Madden. That is unbelievable. I don't know. Again, they needed wide receiver help. We might have had the assets to pull off that trade if they had interest in Harrison Phillips. If they had interest in Zay Jones, we might have been able to pull that off. There's really no guarantee. And unfortunately, it's too late. Stover ends up being a Bear, which is just killing me. Nick Royals, 79 linebacker. 81 quarterback, Roy McGuire. Again, he is 24. What's his development pattern? Crichton, 80 safety. Cards at 9 take Houston Holt. Again, tremendous name. 80 quarterback out of Miami. At 10, Nathan Brady, the right guard, goes off the board. Tampa takes that corner as well. There are so many players I would have loved to have gotten in this draft. I just kind of, again, had to resign to the fact that, hey, we weren't going to get the majority of players that we wanted. The other quarterback, Jace Fordham, goes off the board, 77 overall. An 80 right guard, Gunheim off the board, and Jacksonville takes Cherry, the safety. So the first thing that jumps to mind here, aside from the misery of missing out over certain players, is the fact that a certain running back is still available, who we might end up going for. Elling, scrambler, early first round, projected, pretty good 40 time, pretty damn good agility. I just don't know if we want to take a 24-year-old. There is Hayden Rutland, especially in the first round. This just might not have been the draft to look for that replacement. We'll end up getting a backup. Maybe even old Chandler Smelly could be the guy for us. Everett right now is my favorite. We'll take a look elsewhere here. Tight end's not an extreme need. If one of those two guys fall to a later round, maybe we'll look then and there. The offensive line, only Brenton Weeks remains as a first-round talent, and he is a legitimate first-round talent at 21 years old. He might be the guy to take, I gotta be honest. Lucas Knott at right end. Of course, defensive end isn't as big of a need as the offensive line happens to be. Thomas Posey at middle linebacker. Again, it is an option. Top skills are great. The combine results are great. He's a solid option. Bashad McCaffrey, also looking like a hell of an option. I think I'd prefer the middle linebacker, though. Rodriguez Van Noy at corner. 6 foot, 35-inch vert. Solid option. Not as big of a need, I'd say, as running back or O-line. Here's the thing. If we don't take Everett and he ends up getting selected, we do have Hankton and we do have Nkang later on in this draft. Hankton's not terrible. Terrible name, but he's not a terrible player. And then Everett as well. I just can't help but think about that wide receiver. I just can't help but think this might be the right time to at least get one of the high-end offensive linemen, because we still need help there, and obviously the guy we had at right tackle this past season was abysmal. So I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go for the biggest need. That is Brenton Weeks out of Tennessee. Let's see how good he is. And yeah, that was necessary. 6'7", 79 overall, quick development, Brenton Weeks, welcome to the team. And for the love of God, EA, fixed draft analysis already. This game has been out for almost a month. But Brenton Weeks, hell of a pickup there. We needed to do it. If we end up not getting the top running back in this draft, for us at least, so be it. He'll probably go here. Yep. Oh, God, and he's an 82. He's an 82. We have Bryce Love, though. But that kind of sucks. We needed an offensive lineman. We did. Bottom line, we needed an O-lineman. You can sit here and debate, you should have traded up. You knew that wide receiver was going to be great. You're not wrong. That I regret it. Trust me, I regret it. But it's over. It's over. What's done is done. Oh, that's going to haunt me for the rest of this series. I'm not even as worried about the running back. He's 1 overall point better than Love is now. Bryce Love is obviously going to be our guy, but holy shit, Chicago. Chicago Smelly ends up going to the Patriots. There you go. And the quality seems to be hit or miss. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to this next pick. Could trade up if need be. Not really feeling the need to do so, though. Not really feeling the need to do so. Oh my God, that wide receiver. And here's the thing. You could be like, oh, why did hell just restart the episode? It's an online franchise for the sake of faster load times. I can't. It's saved. It's over. He's gone. It's killing me. Oh, God. So I don't think we're going to look for a quarterback until about the 4th round. So we'll worry about the backup later. We're not going to worry about a running back at this point either. So that's a little bit concerning. Macca Pickens, though. 3rd round, projected as an early 2nd round in talent, though. 6'4", ran a 4.5, 33-inch vert. That's not bad. Good hands as well. Pickens might not be terrible. Wide receiver's not the biggest need after the signings that we just had, but could work out. Derek Swanson as well. Late second round projected, 23 years old. Relatively agile, not as strong as I'd like him to be, though, so maybe we'll avoid him. Right now, the wide receiver is looking like the top guy. Although I will say, Helfet, not participating in the combine. That's normally a very good sign. I would love to be able to get him in the third round. Rashad Russell, mid-second round talent at 23 years old. Agile, strong, that's not bad. I'd still argue that we need a little bit more help. Although Lucas Knott is still available, and I think he's too good to pass up, even at 23. I like that wide receiver, but I like Lucas Knott more. Spencer Kent as a second-round talent. I don't think we can... Morgan Pete, though. Hold on. Let me check Morgan Pete. 5'10" at 22. Not bad. I'm going for Knott. First-round talent, still here. Let's do it. The fact that power moves are that high, 31 reps on the bench. Let's do it. Lucas Knott. Wow. That's not good. I guess there was a reason you fell. I mean, he's a good depth option, but I wasn't exactly looking for a depth option at this stage in the draft. A 76 normal development at 23. You reached. Yeah, I guess I did. I guess you're right this time, EA. God damn. I had a bit of optimism. You would have heard it in my voice after the draft board and after the free agent signings. I had a little bit of optimism. That optimism has now turned into despair as I am regretting the decisions we have made in this draft. From the wide receiver and not trading up to that pick right there. I don't regret my first round pick, but I do regret not trading up. That is unfortunate on multiple accounts. On multiple accounts. Brennan Starkey, third round talent, mid-third round. Not that agile. He would be a depth option for sure. And Helfet's here. Helfet's the guy right now unless somebody really wins me over. Dre Doggins. Jesus. It's looking pretty good, man. I do have an extra pick here in the third round, though, do I not? I do. I have the 10th pick. So I think, regardless, we're taking the offensive lineman. Spencer Kent's still there. Morgan Pete's still there. We should be okay. But all year, a non-combine participant, that's been the sign of an amazing player. Helfet's my pick for that reason. And just this is opposite day for me. This is the first time I've seen a player not be star or superstar after not competing in the combine. He's okay. At 22 years old, he's okay. It's a good depth option. He won't be a starter, but God damn. This is not what we were hoping for here. Spencer Kent's off the board. What is going on? We were doing so well. We got 2 additions to the offensive line and a defensive end who looked like he might have been a steal after falling down the board, and that has not been the case whatsoever. I don't understand what's happened. I'm normally relatively decent at drafting. Not today, apparently. To be honest, I have a series ongoing with the Chargers on Twitch. That draft was terrible too. So apparently, it's just not my day. As Dre Doggins is available, I don't exactly need another defensive end, but he might be the best guy. Is that corner still there? Cole Claw's there. And Morgan Pete's still there. Okay, so it's going to be Cole Claw or Pete. And Dietrich, what's going on? You're 22. Late third round, pretty well-rounded. We do need linebacker depth, so Cole Claw is going to be the guy. We do have another pick, 6 selections from now. We'll see what happens then and there. But Cole Claw is my guy. He's depth, and that's it. We don't even have to talk about that. What has happened to my ability to draft? It has just, we have fallen off a cliff today in terms of Madden and I getting along. Now, Morgan Pete is still there. And this is just a case of someone, he's available now. Mid-second round talent. We're going to take him. Morgan Pete's the guy. And he's a depth option as well. Not terrible, but not great. 75 overall at 22, but normal development. I'm not wanting to be like, oh, it's just not that good of a draft class. I feel like maybe I've just missed out on players here, but man, I was really hoping for something special with this draft class, and it just hasn't happened. Now's the time for us to look for a backup. It might end up being Brian Diaz, to be honest, that I target more than anything. And Kang's there as well. Who else do we have here in the 4th round? Ross Dronette, 24, 6'1", relatively fast and agile, but not fast enough as a deep threat. Not fast enough and doesn't have good enough jumping as a deep threat to really make that worth it. I'm just going to take him off the list now. David Olson at tight end, 23, under a 30-inch vert at 6'4". I'm not really interested. And Crompton at 6'7", under a 30-inch vert. Again, not really interested. I'd prefer to just end up selecting who we have, so I don't think we're going to take a tight end in this draft. Let me take a look at Richard as a scrambler. Not bad agility-wise. And again, out of UMaine, so I'm pretty tempted. Brian Diaz, 23 at 6'6", not bad. Again, could be the backup in the 5th round. He'd probably end up being better than anybody that we'd have anyway. Noble at 23, ran a 4.6, and really isn't that elusive, whereas a 4.5 for Nkang, yeah, if we're going to take a running back, he's the guy. If we're going to take a running back, he's the guy. I wouldn't mind getting Brian Diaz. I wouldn't mind getting Nkang. Is there anybody else, though, here in the 4th round? There's a 4th round talent, Riley Duff out of Virginia Tech. Not feeling it. Relatively strong, not a great draft for centers at bench. Agile, he lives up to it, but he's not going to be anything too special. Travis Baker at defensive end. Fits the bill as a speed rusher, especially with the finesse moves. He's not bad. He does have the speed, he does have the agility. But I think here it's fairly straightforward. We're going to take Dorico and Kang just to get our backup running back to Bryce Love, and that is exactly what we were looking for. It might be 24. Of course, we knew he was 24. Normal development, but he is a 78 overall. So that I am good with. That is a perfect backup to Bryce Love in case something happens. And we actually have multiple picks here coming up. Titans actually ended up getting a 76 corner. He's one of the guys we were looking at, but we didn't get a full report on Matthews, so I didn't have him on my draft board at that point. And there's no guarantees that I make this next pick. We do have the 2nd pick of the 5th round. We might trade down here. Decent chance. So Noble and Hunt, you are no longer required. At wide receiver, nobody here that we're looking to take early. Riley Duff, again, might not be bad for depth, but I'm really not sold. I'm not sold despite the fact that he's younger. Not what we're looking for. Baker, again, though, does fit the bill at 22 for that agility. The bench, though, like he has to, like if he doesn't win via that first finesse move, he's done because his bench press is so low. So I'm not sure if I'm sold on him being anything more than just kind of general depth. So I think for that reason, we're going to trade down here with these next 3 picks. Let's try to pick up some draft picks heading into next year. And we'll see what we can get here. So a 4th. Anybody want to offer a 3rd? Thank you, New England. We will gladly take a 3rd round pick next year. We'll see what they end up doing with that selection. They take a 74 tight end. So there you go, Olsen, who we had on our board. And Baker was a 75. So there you go. Who knows what his development ended up being. Let's see, we got a 4th, a 5th, and a 7th, another 4th. Let's go ahead and take the Seattle 4th. Get that over and done with. See who they ended up taking. They took Riley Duff, who was a 72. So I guess we did dodge a bullet there. Darvian Richard ends up going off the board. The UMaine quarterback. Not ideal. Do we want to make our pick here, though, with Richard off the board? Could take Diaz, but again, he's 6th round projected, but a 5th round talent. I'd like to think he slips in the draft. I could be wrong here. I could be wrong. You are looking at a guy who flat out knew that a wide receiver was going to be amazing and then wasn't patient enough to just trade up for him. I cannot tell you why I didn't trade up for him. I knew he was going to be great. But in my mind, I'm like, is there really anybody that I'd want to get rid of to pull that off? And then, of course, the Bears, who end up wanting a wide receiver, are like, yeah, sure, defensive tackle would be great. And that's where Harrison Phillips could have came into play. I have no excuse. That's the dumbest thing I've done. I have no excuse for that. No doubt, as far as who we're selecting here, it's the quarterback we were targeting. It's going to be Brian Diaz. Not sure how good he's going to be, but I'm okay with it regardless. We do need a backup. And 71, he's better than Ryan Mallett. I'll give him that. He's better than Ryan Mallett. So we don't have our Josh Allen replacement coming from this draft, but I don't think anyone really expected that to be the case. We'll take a look at what might be available in the future. So Cottrell we'll let go of, and just in terms of him being on the board. Chadrick Barrow. Chadrick. Ran a 4.5, very agile, but a 5'10", and under a 30-inch vert, I need you to have under a 4.4. I don't know, man. The agility's nice, but I don't think he's actually going to have the speed to beat people deep. I just don't see it. Any other fifth-round talents? Anthony Silva at 22. Pretty well-rounded, actually. Might not be a bad option. Oh, my God, Pitts. You are the Pitts. Terrible on bench. Just terrible in general. Teron Sullivan, also not great. At 21 years old, we'll ditch you as a potential target. And Marcus Young out of Harvard at least has the agility as to where he could be worth it. Not a big fan of finesse moves being one of the top skills, but he could still be worth it. So to me, we have 2 picks here in the 5th round. And as far as who we have on the board, this is it. So I think we're probably just going to target Marcus Young first, just because we've taken so many linemen in this draft anyway. So let's pick him up. It's a harmless pick. Good depth option, 22 years old and a 74 overall. That's not too bad. We'll skip ahead to our next selection. I'm so scared to make another mistake here because I have botched this draft so terribly. So terribly. I don't know what's happened. And in terms of who else we were looking at here, they are off the board, so we're going to trade down at least from this pick. A decent chance here, as I'm sure you can tell, of me just trading down the rest of the way. 4th round pick from Cleveland, that's definitely going to be the best offer. So we'll go ahead and take that. Sim to our next pick yet again. Let's see. Here in the 6th round, who is on the board for us? Ellis Hollier. Wide out, 23 possession. Good vert jump for someone 6'6". You know, might be a tight end. He's worth an opportunity. We'll go ahead and select him. 75 overall, not bad. 84 jumping, 85 catching at 6'6". I'll take that. Could end up being tight end depth at the very least. That's not a bad way to go. Look at the goddamn picks that we have here. Jesus. We only had one other guy, and that was Ramsey. Is he even worth selecting? He's 6'5", decent vert, ran a 4.6. I'm going to say no. So we'll take him off the board. The thing is, Marshall Odom, who is projected as a 2nd round pick, is still there as a receiving back. Could be worth it just to select him for the hell of it. Same for Morgan Brooking. What's the worst that could happen? So I think we'll give it a shot. Let's go ahead and take Marshall Odom. What's the worst that happens? Oh, he's terrible. Okay, well, it's a 6th round pick. At the end of the day, I might have been able to get a 5th for it next year. And we do have back-to-back picks, so I'm going to go ahead and take that corner as well. Morgan Brooking, who also ends up being terrible. All right, well, just in case they ended up being half decent, it was worth going for it. But for the moment, let's go ahead and call it quits on this draft as we get offers for 5th round picks. Let's just go ahead and take Miami's. Don't want to bother scrolling through and seeing what the best one was, to be honest, because it's only what the best one is on paper, and there's, of course, no guarantees this far out. I imagine a 5th round pick will be the best it is. We'll take the one from Atlanta. And then again, we'll have to trade away the next pick. We have another pick coming up too in the 6th round. Craziness. Let's see. 5th rounders. I'm going to guess there are no 4th rounders, but sometimes teams are crazy. We'll go ahead and take the Detroit 5th. So overall, not my finest draft. I'm not overly upset about where the team is. I still think that we're in a relatively good spot, all things considered. The team's still looking pretty good. I like the way certain players have developed, the free agent signings we've been able to bring in. But that draft could have gone a lot better for us. A lot better. And it starts by looking at the Bears. And I am so afraid to look at what this is because there is no excuse for me not trading up to get him. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I deserve to not have him. Because I looked at the attributes. I literally said, here's the next Randy Moss. And then I didn't trade up to get him. I'm an idiot. I don't know what the hell I was doing. Fucking look at this guy. 92 jumping, 97 catching, 96 spectacular catch. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I'm just like, fuck, let me sim pick by pick. He won't go off the board. Literally, it came down to laziness and incompetence. I'm like, I don't really want to sit here and have to watch every single team. Which is what I would normally do anyway. If you watch me on Twitch, you know if there's a player I'm looking at, that's what I do. What is the matter with me? I don't deserve him. Because for some reason, I did the exact opposite of how I handle every other draft. And it cost me the best player I've ever seen out of the draft in Madden 19. I don't deserve him. Why? You ever do something and you're just like, why the hell did I do that? What's the matter with me? This is my moment for that right now. I genuinely do not know why I didn't trade up to get him. I can't even blame the fact like, oh, I'm overtired. I'm not. I'm feeling fine. Well, I was until that happened. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. That said, heading into the next episode, we're going to look to overcome that, as I'm going to get you just a quick look at the roster. Oh my god, we could have used him so badly. Of course, I'm going to take a look at the free agent list as well, see if there are any half-decent prospects or just players to sign outright. Obviously, I'm going to have to look at bringing in some offensive line depth. That's still not looking tremendous. We do have quite a few roster spots open. Of course, some practice squad guys that were signed at the end of last year ended up making it to the roster as well. So we're looking okay. We're not looking great, but we are looking okay. And who knows, just maybe, perhaps, we will have the ability to make the playoffs heading into this next season. And I can kind of already tell. I mean, I'm sure we'll be able to bring in some guys. And at the very least, our backup quarterback is on par with Mike Glennon and Brock Osweiler. We could sign 39-year-old Eli Manning, though. We could do that. Guys, I'm going to end this episode before I do anything else that's just overly stupid. Roast me in the comments as I deserve to be. Because a game-changing draft pick wasn't made. And I don't know why. As, again, I did the exact opposite of what I'd normally do. I'm just going to end this because looking at Madden, I'm getting, like, physically ill right now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, where I will try to do better.